What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the third episode of Comics and Coffee, brought to you by Media Bites. This is a show where we dive in and discuss everything in the world and craft of comics. I am one of your co-hosts, Alex Batts. Joining me again today is my great friend, Evan McGuire. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's Friday. I have my mic stand now, so I got two hands free.
That's nice.
It's a good feeling.
It's a very clutch development.
Good progress. I'm stoked to get into these books, though.
Same. Yeah, I have a little bit of a setup progress too. My video was a little darker than I wanted last week, and so I have this LED lamp that just lights up my face.
That's it, man. That's what the people want to see. People want to see the face of Alex Batts.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's the number one request for the podcast. More of my face. Dude, no, I gotta do something about this haircut though. But that's totally off topic. No, yes. So the books that we're getting into today. I'm talking about another Batman book. I swear I'm almost caught up with my pull again. I'm a couple issues behind now.
Better
So because I didn't read anything last week, which is completely on me. I only had 4 books last week too, so I definitely should have read more. But I mean that's not entirely true. I read Batman and Tech this week.
There you
so
as long as you're reading, dude, that's
matters.
That's what I always think is the main thing. As long as you're reading a little bit, it doesn't really matter. Because again, those books aren't going anywhere. So
that's true. That's very true. But yeah, so something that I did read recently though, I reread Batman White Knight, which is by Sean Gordon Murphy, and the colorist is Matt Hollingsworth. Which his colors are insane throughout this book. By the way,
so spectacular, man.
Yeah, they set the mood so well throughout the entire thing. Yeah. But yeah, Sean Gordon Murphy handles art, besides the colors, obviously, he handles art and writing duties on this book. He's doing it all pretty much.
I recommend that.
And he just absolutely crushes it too.
Yeah, I was going to say, not only does he handle both of those responsibilities, but he handles them at as strong or stronger than some of the creative duos that I follow, which is, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, and I think that's such an interesting creative process to me to think about.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's not he's the one coming up with the story and the panels to do in the story. Obviously, there's always a back and forth between the writer and artist,
sure.
And a lot of writers will mold their writing for a particular series or issue based on whatever artist they're working with, because they obviously know that artist's strengths and weaknesses. Right. But it's got to be really nice just knowing and being yeah, I can do that. Yeah. And not having to do that back and forth or think about anything like that. He's just automatically knows what images and what he's picturing on the page as he's writing it.
Definitely.
And so
because I can kind of attest to
I mean, you've done that.
I was just going to say I can kind of attest to that because while my first book wasn't a full 22 pager, 8 pages of whatever that I did, it was really nice being able to flesh everything out on my own, and not to take anything away from people who work better in a creative partnership, because there's enough positive things to be said about that. But what I found about working by myself was that I could take the time to flesh out the script and then work off of that, obviously knowing my own strengths and weaknesses better than anybody else could, and being able to take the time and shift things around with how I had written them, or just kind of figure out my way around how I wanted to lay out the panels on every page, where I wanted to put certain actions. I found as I was laying things out that I needed to kind of cut and paste different things from the script into different areas where they made more sense. So to do something on the scale of what Sean Murphy has done with the White Knight, and then coming up the Curse of the White Knight, I have to tip all of the hats to him.
All of them. I'm buying 50 hats just to tip them.
And I'll send a video of him tipping each one just to let him know.
just puts one on, tips it real quick, throws it off, just
keep them coming.
No, yeah, it's insane, honestly. And it's also, I mean, besides just handling all of it, handling it so well, it's an exceptional Batman story.
It is phenomenal.
But it's one of my favorite Batman stories. It immediately became one of my favorites.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's just so good. I remembered this time. Gonna give a spoiler warning.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, we should probably mention that on top.
Yeah. Spoiler warning for Batman White Knight if you haven't read it, which obviously we highly recommend that you do go read it.
Please
come
go
back
read
and
this book.
Finish either watching or listening, depending on what platform. But yeah, no, please read this book. It's so good. And then the sequel, Curse of the White Knight, is actually coming out this month. I don't remember exactly what day in July. I really should know. But it's coming out in July, so that's very exciting. I can't wait for that. But yeah, there's your spoiler warning for White Knight. So yeah, the basic like premise of this book is like, I mean, Batman's kind of the antagonist here. Like, the Joker gets cured. I'll put like quotes. He takes this drug / like pill that, you know, represses the Joker side of him, and which I love the take that Murphy decided to do with, he really draws a line between the Joker and Jack Napier.
Oh, yeah,
like
100%.
They say it like in the book multiple, like they are two different characters. They're different people, which is so interesting. And so like he's cured, and we get Jack Napier for most of the book, and he is the protagonist of it. He's trying to clean up Gotham and help Gotham and expose Batman for the damage and mayhem that he causes like in the city, and hold him accountable for his actions. And like this Batman has been doing it for a long time. He's been Batman for, I mean, 25 plus years. And so he's very weathered and weary and brutal and just kind of like off the leash. And he just gets more and more unhinged like as the story progresses. And it's just, I love it so much. Like I love the brutal, like world weary Batman a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I think that Murphy does it some of the best that I've seen like in this book.
Yeah, I think I you know, obviously you have reread it, so I'm not as current on it because I read it, you know, as it was coming out, and then that was it for me. But what I remember of it is just pretty much exactly what you said. I love that they actually pose Batman as the antagonist, because you kind of get that conflict among like citizens of Gotham, and like I feel like especially like it's kind of emphasized with Jim Gordon. It's like, you know, when he's starting out as Batman, he doesn't really know if he can trust him, and then obviously it becomes like an alliance, and at times like an uneasy alliance, and now to see that kind of flipped, and Jack Napier is just advocating against him and really bringing to light things that are not untrue, which is very fascinating, like and it becomes almost more about, for Bruce it seems like it becomes more about proving Jack Napier wrong, but maybe also like proving to himself that he has been doing the right thing this whole time, which is very fascinating. Because
it's really, which I'll get a lot more into that like later, because there's a scene at the end of this book. But yeah, he's really like holding on and like trying to be like, no, what I'm doing is the right thing. Like this has to have been the right thing. Like he can't, it just doesn't compute for him to it not be. But no, you mentioned the fact that like Jack Napier is bringing up things that aren't like untrue, and literally at the end of this first issue, like there's this quote that I'm gonna read. He's literally like, Batman endangered innocent civilians by driving an unlicensed weaponized tank over rooftops. Then he endangered a construction site by plowing into a cement trunk, injuring 3 people, knocked over an innocent guard, trespassed onto private property, destroyed thousands of dollars of medical equipment while assaulting the Joker as he was trying to surrender. And then instead of arresting him, the police and Gordon and a dozen other officers stood by while he forced unknown medication into Joker's throat until he stopped breathing. Like,
when you hear it laid out like that, like you see those kinds of things happen in Batman comics constantly, but to hear it put into
all the time.
Those words, like you have to sit there and like drop your jaw, because hearing it like that and seeing it are two completely different things, and when you put them together, it's like, holy fuck, man.
Yeah, because I mean, he literally like lays out the opening sequence of the book, like that's what happens. And then he's like, add all of that up, what do you have? Like reckless endangerment, destruction of public and private property, and a dozen different traffic violations, assault, and attempted murder by lethal dosage. Like that, like Batman did that, but you watched him do it at the very beginning, and like as you're watching it the first time, like of course whenever he's like beating Joker and shoving the like pills down his throat, you're like, okay, you're kind of going too far, Batman.
Yeah.
But you still like don't think about it as seriously like as you do whenever he like lays
Right.
it out right
No,
there.
absolutely.
It's just like this is what happened. Like
It's nuts, man.
oof, yeah. But so like I remember reading that the first time, and like as soon as that happened, I was like, oh damn.
You already
like,
knew like what
and
the
then-
story was gonna be about. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then Joker just stands up and he's like, or Jack Napier like stands up, he's like, I'm gonna save this
Yep.
city, like, and oh, it's so good. But yeah, so like Jack just launches a campaign basically to like, I mean, he allies himself with the like disenfranchised and a like poor neighborhood
Yep.
or an impoverished neighborhood like in Gotham, gets the support of the people. He runs for, I forget, councilman. He runs for councilman and like has a huge like he's won the city basically. He uncovers a lot of like dirty secrets about like how Batman has operated in the city.
Yep.
Like which I love this. Murphy also does, which I'll get more. This is a slightly different topic, but his world building here is awesome,
Fantastic.
which I want to get into. But like Joker uncovers this document. It's like the Batman Devastation Fund, which is like it's used to explain how the city pays for all the destruction that he causes.
Forgot about
and like
that.
yeah, dude, and it's literally just rolled into like the disaster relief fund for Gotham,
Yeah.
like in the documents that are for like hurricanes and like flooding and
Yeah.
stuff. But like they don't get that. That doesn't happen, and it's just billions of dollars that is spent of like taxpayer money that like is just used to clean Batman like the like mess that he causes.
Dude.
And so that's like a huge point in the story, and like what really helps obviously win the city, because they're like, well, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, how would we feel if there was somebody going around doing that stuff and he was like, you know, posed as this hero, and then we found out like, oh, there's money being siphoned to like aid this criminal
for this.
essentially.
I mean, he's literally a vigilante. Like he's not sanctioned. Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Off the hinge, man.
Yeah. So like that's a pretty. But like, you're ready for me to throw in another plot twist at you, like in regards to that one.
Yes.
So like originally he thinks that it's taxpayer money that's being used for that, but then like after he does more digging, one, it was all run through like the mayor's office too, so like that just puts a really bad spot on him.
Oh, for sure.
But he finds out that all of the companies used to like replenish that fund were all under the Wayne Enterprises umbrella, and so like that's how Jack Napier figures out that Batman is Bruce Wayne, because he's like, it's you, like.
The Joker's mind is a very fascinating thing when, I guess, when he's not the Joker.
Yeah, no, I really, and like that's a good point that this book does really well. It like shows how smart he can be.
Yeah,
and, like,
because one of like the most crucial characteristics of the Joker is that he's not just some lunatic. He's like very, in most iterations, I should say, I feel like he's this very like smart, calculative mastermind who just like was broken by whatever and still has all of that intellect in his mind, but you know, just doesn't put it to use the way that we see it in this book.
yeah, like he is extremely capable.
Oh, 100%.
Like, he proves it time and again, and he all like I mean has just the plans that he comes up with, and the fact that he's able to like pull them off until, you know, the very end when Batman obviously like beats him every time because it's a superhero
Of
comic.
course.
But like I mean, just besides that, like what he's able to do is just insane, and like yeah, I feel that's present in pretty much all of his iterations. Like I mean, you even see it like in the Dark Knight whenever he's like, do I look like a guy with a plan? Like obviously he's playing like Two-Face, but like the entire movie is nothing but his plans.
Exactly.
Like,
he
He
puts like up he puts up a front, and he's so good at it that he makes people believe that he is just some lunatic, but he's not.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it's like that's even scarier.
Yeah, he fully knows what he's doing at all times. Like, oh, it's so Joker's such a good character. but yeah, no, and so like we see him not shackled by the insanity of the Joker in this. We see Jack Napier like having control and wanting to do right for once.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. I just love that he like that Murphy that is completely like flips the script and makes Jack Napier the protagonist and Batman the antagonist
Definitely.
here. Like that's such a cool thing. Another really cool addition, which this is part of the world building that I had mentioned. I love how he treats Harley Quinn in this book.
It's very fresh.
Yeah, it is. And like one thing I guess I should mention before going further is like as far as his world, like he imagines this world as being like the Batman the Animated Series universe if it was like 20 years older. Like if it had,
I didn't know that. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah,
like that, because I mean he was literally he actually has a podcast. It's Batass, like Battass, which is really funny. He does and it's great.
That's awesome.
But it's him and I can't remember the other co-host's name, which I'm kicking myself for. But they actually talk about the animated series. Like they do they cover 2 episodes per episode that they do.
Okay, cool.
And like he was actually like rewatching and like he was rewatching the series and recording that podcast the entire time he was writing this.
Wow, that makes sense, I guess.
And like BTAS is by far his biggest influence like in this. You can really see it in a lot of the character designs and like kind of like with just the direction that he chooses to go. But yeah, he like just imagines this as like it's his version of that if it was like if everyone was like 20 years more like seasoned.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah,
really
which is
that.
just so
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so he like does that, and then with that we get the Harley Quinn and Joker relationship, except it's Harley and Jack.
Yep.
And it's actually like he does a good job because obviously the biggest thing, especially like that is talked about a lot now in regards to their relationship is how, I mean, obviously abusive it is. It's not a healthy relationship.
Not at all.
By any means. And he does a good job of addressing that
absolutely.
And like being like, yeah, this isn't a good thing and it hasn't been good for her. And he actually even like goes a step further kind of, and there's 2 Harley Quinns in this book.
Which kind of threw me for a loop at first.
Yeah, because we have the original Harley Quinn that everyone knows and loves, Harleen Quinzel, and she falls in love with the Joker and like the idea of him and stuff. But then the more they continue their criminal shenanigans and stuff, and the more Batman intervenes, she, you know, comes to realize that Joker's just obsessed with Batman and doesn't really care about her, and like she just straight up leaves. Like she just leaves him, and Joker doesn't notice, and then he's robbing a bank one time, and the bank teller like it resembles Harley, and he just calls her Harley, and she just goes along with it.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, it's important to note that she was actually in the process. She was about to commit suicide. She was very not in a good part in her life, and like she's given this attention and like purpose kind of. It's just like she's about to die, like she's gonna be murdered, and then he's like, hey, do this, and like Harley, and she just like starts doing it, and it's like a thrill for her, and so she literally just like takes the original Harley Quinn's place, and like
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
damn.
It's so
there's
wild.
So many layers to this. It's amazing.
But yeah, her name is Marion Drews,
right?
Which I don't believe that's in anything else. Like I know that she's an original character, but like I don't think that her name is a nod to anything either. Like I'm pretty sure she's just completely original, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely cool.
But she also like she ends up after Jack and Harley become like a thing again in this book. She just becomes Neo Joker. Like she makes a completely new costume and it's just like, all right, well I'm gonna like wreck y'all now. And so she literally just decides to do that and like go against Gotham, and that's where we get the like villain conflict in it, besides just Batman and Joker having like their legal and like moral back and forth. She really initiates the like a lot of the action and like seeing all the different villains in there, because like that's another thing this book does, and Murphy does it really well, like narratively, and that he's able to bring in a lot of like Killer Croc, Bane, Poison Ivy, Mad Hatter, I can't remember her name, the one who rides the rocket, I think it's Roxy Rocket maybe.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember her, but I'm not too familiar with her character to begin with, so I wouldn't know.
She's from the animated series, so I'm pretty sure that's her name. But like her, Mr. Freeze has a really big part, which I'll get into separately because he has a pretty big role. But just like he incorporates so many of these characters, like these villains, and he's able to do it narratively because he has them like mind controlled a lot of times. So it's not like he has to like have them. They don't have their like character arcs and stuff and like really like motivations. They're just like manipulated. But it's obviously a thing where he was like, I want to draw all these villains.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
It's actually really funny. He has said in like interviews before, he was like, yeah, the reason I did White Knight was like, I just wanted to draw a bunch of Batmobiles, and then I wrote a story like around being able to do that.
That's awesome. So, I love that.
Because like, if you don't know, he's a car guy. Like he loves cars.
It seems like he very much enjoys drawing them.
Yeah, and he actually like he's said like he's like no one draws cars like in comics correctly, like the way that they would actually sit like on the ground and stuff.
Interesting.
So he's like, yeah, that's one of the things that he like loves being able to do. But yeah, so like brings all those characters in, still able to draw them, and it's just, I mean, it's great to see them. I love all of his character designs so much.
Yeah, I love his Batman especially. He just looks so worn.
Dude, he looks so good, and he's just this huge bulking figure. Like it just, there's some panels where like the intimidation factor. Oh, dude, it's insane.
It's like cranked up to 200.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a perfect mixture, honestly, of like Dark Knight Returns Batman and like BTAS Batman.
That's definitely what I thought. I mean, I really, as far as like seasoned Batmans go, I would go so far as to say that I like Sean Murphy's more than Frank Miller's.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Just because he is hulking, but he's not like that fucking hulking.
I mean, Frank Miller's a person. His art is very I like his like older art. I don't like his art anymore very much.
Side note though, did you see, I know that we kind of talked about how Fantastic Four is getting the grand design treatment that X-Men did. It's not Ed Piskor, but Ed Piskor did a variant for the first issue. I'm blanking on who's writing it. I'm so sorry because I cannot wait for it. But Ed Piskor's variant is the Thing on the cover, like in the same pose, like that, like kind of crouched pose that Batman is in, like that iconic cover. Was that a cover? I'm not sure if that was a cover because I didn't like.
Yeah, I believe it was. It's you're talking about like the lightning, like
not
pose,
the
right?
lightning pose. No, he's
not
like crouched like on the ground with like one hand over his knee and like you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I believe that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a cover.
Yeah, I mean, well, in any case, it says on it like it's signed Ed Piskor after Frank Miller, and it's just like I just really dig that. But that was just like a sidebar.
Right. It's the Fantastic Four grand design.
Yeah.
Totally googling in the middle. But yeah, no. I agree. I like this season's Batman more than I do Frank Miller's. It's just,
how could you not?
It's so perfect. Yeah, dude, it's such a good, like, he's just all around written so fantastic. Like, okay, yeah. Oh, that looks awesome.
Right, dude? I love Ed Piskor's art, and just seeing that pose, but with the Thing, I don't know, it just, like, it works for me.
It fits. Yeah, it fits really well. I'll try to throw that. I'll send that to Sean, so he can maybe throw that up on the podcast.
Yeah, that would be cool. I was gonna say it, but I didn't want to be like, I don't know.
Dude, got it to
put something up out of a tangent that we were talking about.
No, but yeah, the seasoned Batman is so good in this.
Top tier, yeah.
He's just like at the end of his line, and also specifically like his design, like his suit. I love everything about it so much.
It's like we were having this conversation in the chat last night or like a couple of nights ago, but like comparing bat suits, and I feel like it's a perfect balance between tactical and just like the classic like jumpsuit more or less looking bat suit.
Yeah,
I love it.
No, yeah, it does such a good job, and like there's so many little things with it that I really love, like the collar. The fact that he has a collar.
Yeah, that's pretty rad, man.
Game over, man. That's so awesome. Like, are you kidding me? I need to see that in some form of live action something. I'll cosplay it my goddamn self. I don't care. Actually, no, I won't. I don't have the like. I don't have physique for that.
Just get like a foam muscle suit. Do whatever you need to do to wear that as a cosplay.
Bro, yeah, that would honestly be dope. I'll keep you
Sounds
updated
good.
on that. But yeah, no, the collar is so good. His cowl looks great. The
sure.
cape is really cool.
I feel like the cowl is like very angular, and that, from what I remember of it, it's like, I don't know, it just adds to like the menace factor of him when he's posed as the antagonist, which I think is really interesting.
It literally looks like he's always scowling.
Exactly, yeah.
Like always. He always looks pissed off in this. Which works. Yeah, there's one time where he doesn't look super angry, but even then it still is like a scowl, but like it's just because the rest of his face you can tell that he's like broken. But yeah, no, it just, I don't know if you remember the little like the wings like on the bat boot.
Very
wings,
vaguely.
They're like spikes like on his boots.
Are they like the like cowboy boot spurs almost?
Kind of, yeah, except like Batman.
Right.
Like if you can, if that makes sense. But like that, like even his gauntlets, they're like thinner than like normal, but it works really well. He's got biker gloves on too.
Yeah, which is awesome. Like, I love that.
Dude, it's such a, there's just so many little touches like in his, he has the straight up thigh highs on, like they're chaps almost, is like what his boots are. They're so like long.
Very long.
But it just adds such a good contrast though, because like those are black and then his like main suit is blue, or not blue, it's gray. And so it just works. The bat symbol is very like short but like wide, and like, oh dude, I love that costume so much. Definitely one of my favorite.
I would like to see that.
Batman
in all
designs.
seriousness, I would like to see somebody cosplay as that. Not to take anything away from you, just, you know.
No, I want to see someone cosplay as that too. There's a guy actually that I know who does a lot of killer, I mean, I don't know him, I follow him on Instagram, but he does a lot of killer Batman cosplays. I'm gonna add him and be like, hey, do this.
Hey, you should make this. That's awesome.
But yeah, fantastic suit. Every character design I think in this is just top notch.
Yeah, really like well thought out, and hearing that he kind of like imagined this as 20 years later down the line of BTAS, I feel like that just adds so much more to it, because it's not just like, oh yeah, here's how I off the fly want to draw these characters. It's like they all look like they were, you know, serious time was taken to design each of them out, which I greatly appreciate.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like Nightwing, I love his look. He's got like the like biker jacket.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
It's like, and then Batgirl, her look is really cool too. Like it fit. They all just fit so well. Like everyone, you're like, yeah, that's them.
It very much feels like he created this version of Gotham and then molded all of the characters to look like they fit in what he created as this world, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, dude, speaking of like his world of Gotham, the atmosphere and the architecture.
Oh my gosh,
and the, like,
dude.
Mood.
Chef's kiss.
Oh, dude, yeah, get out. It's too good. Like it's so fantastic. Yeah. There's some like all of the buildings look incredible. The interiors look great. There's so many different like landscape shots. They're not all like widescreen like landscape, but like just like setting shots basically. Establishing shots. That's what I'm looking for.
Get that lingo right.
Just like all. Yeah, I know, man. I'm trying to get it down.
It's all
right. But like, yeah, just all of the architecture and the mood and like every page, it just like leaps off, and it's just so good, and like I love it so much. Like
you really feel immersed in it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and like one of my favorite shots is, it might actually be the last issue. It's either the last one or the second to the last one. It's when Batman and Jack Napier are riding in the Batmobile, and the city has been frozen by a giant freeze gun. Oh yeah, because comic books.
I really need to reread this.
Dude, get on it. Demanding.
Come over here and put a gun to my head. I'll do it.
I'm a little tight on time, but but yeah, no, like they're riding through Gotham, which is just completely frozen. And like there's just a shot from behind the Batmobile, and just like the way the city looks, and like the color of the blue, and just the like the isolated Batmobile, like it's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really like, he is one of the most influential artists on me, just because he cares so much. It's not even about like what I like about his art aesthetically, it's just everything that I know went into it. it's I don't know. It's just something that's so inspiring to me.
No, yeah, he puts so much into it, and you can tell.
Yeah.
Like you can see it in every panel on every page.
Yeah, like all of the care in the world was put into each panel, and I feel like I kind of took away from what I like about his art. I do really love how it looks. Just like the inspiration that I take from him isn't directly from his aesthetic. It's more just like his process, which I really appreciate. But
yeah, exactly, and like that totally makes sense, and like it just. Oh yeah, everything about his art. He's got one of my favorite art styles. Like
definitely,
it's so just chef's kiss. It's so good. But yeah, and then I think the like other major thing about the story that I really like is like one, as much as he says that it's like BTS like 20 years later, he also it's not exactly like he has his own like history that he's established, and like he drops so many different like world building hints and like things that happen. He obviously laid some threads for a sequel, which we're seeing come to fruition very soon.
You know what? Before that comes out, I will make it a point to reread White Knight.
Oh, it's such a like. I was already hyped for Curse of the White Knight, and then I had been wanting to like reread this for a little bit, and then I was like, yeah, it's coming out soon. I might as well, and like I did, and like now I'm just like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I'm very stoked.
But yeah, one of the other characters I really really love in this is Mr. Freeze. Yeah. Like he has a pretty pivotal role in this, and like what he does, he draws probably my favorite Mr. Freeze image of all time in this book.
I'm trying to remember.
It's the one of him walking. He's just like standing in front of Nora when she's in the
cryo chamber or whatever.
The tube. Yeah, that's a bet. I was gonna say tube. It is. Yeah, it's a cryo chamber. But like, and I mean, it's a tube. It's a tube shape. Also, I'm not wrong.
What it is? It's a fucking tube.
It's a very fancy blue tube. But yeah, no, and like he just puts his hand on the glass. It's such a beautiful shot. Hollingsworth colors. Yeah, dude, like just pull everything together. I like his story. The fact that his father was like a Nazi in this.
Crazy.
Like, yeah, it's wild, which that seems like it's going to be explored and, like, be more important in Curse of the White Knight. Because, like, Thomas and Victor, or not Victor, because Victor's father also might have been named Victor. I can't remember.
Victor Sr.
But, yeah, Mr. Freeze's dad and Thomas Wayne were, like, buddy-buddy kind of. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the history of Wayne's like family develops in the sequel.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see that.
Dude, and then also something else crazy that happened, like Alfred straight up dies in this.
Yeah, which is nuts. Like I feel like just recently in Batman books, I feel like just like more so in Elseworld stuff, or what I consider probably like non-linear stuff like that's being told in King's Run. I feel like people are taking liberties with Alfred's character and really playing on like the emotional connection between him and Bruce, which is nuts. Like I don't know. I really commend that because I feel like that's one of Bruce's like weakest points, and to see like strain on that relationship is just so compelling, and it adds so much depth to Batman as a character.
Oh, 100%.
I'm trying to think. In the Last Night on Earth, like when he puts slight tangent, when he puts the new Bruce in that simulation, and Bruce is able to see through the fake Alfred, and then like once the simulation kind of subsides, Alfred is just like so old, and he was just like, I really hoped you were like gonna stay away, because you find out that world like is pretty much gone to shit. But
pretty
like,
wrecked.
It's just like
yeah.
I don't know, seeing that version of Alfred, or seeing like versions of Alfred who are either like more apprehensive to help him, or in this case are like we see them die. It's just the toll that takes on Bruce, to different extents each time. But it's like, I don't know. I love Alfred as a character. He's probably one of my favorite supporting comic book characters of all time.
He's I mean, his importance cannot be understated.
Absolutely not.
Like, he's the one that has been there for Bruce always.
Yeah.
Like,
was it in one of the Batman annuals where, or was it? I don't know. I'm gonna fuck this up, but there was like a scene where Bruce was just like fucking wrecked, and Alfred was in a hospital bed and like took himself out of the bed and like as his like final gesture of goodwill to Bruce, like let him take his place in the hospital bed, and then like died in the seat next to him.
That's this book.
Was that this book?
Yeah, that's actually
Dude,
that's this
I
book.
am such an idiot. That was like, but that.
No, it's so fun. You started to explain that, and I was like, I have to let him play this out because this is gonna be so fun. Yeah, no, that's this book.
Damn,
though.
dude, I am such a moron. But that's like, even though I don't remember.
I mean, it's been a while since it released, so it's
yeah,
understandable.
but even
There's a
still,
lot of
like,
comics.
I don't know. That scene was just. I mean, I guess that's a testament to that scene because you really get a sense of how powerful their relationship is and how deeply Alfred cares for Bruce. And it's just like, I don't know, that scene just sticks out to me, and even though I wasn't able to remember that it was a part of this book, it's still like it still stands out in my mind, so which I think is a testament to his character.
I mean, like, their relationship is so that scene especially, like, like Bruce is just destroyed, and like he comes in because Alfred's on like life support with Freeze's like cryotech
right
things. That's that's how Freeze gets introduced in the story. And like Bruce comes in and like he takes his cowl off and he's just sitting at like Alfred's like bedside, and then he like passes out, and like Alfred wakes up and sees him there, and like Alfred orders Victor to like swap them. He's like, you need to put Bruce in my place, and then Alfred is sitting in the chair like next to him, and whenever Bruce wakes up, he's obviously like strapped to it, and like he sees Alfred next to him dead, and then like he's switched with me, like he gave his life for me. And Freeze is like, without hesitation.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I forgot about that line, dude. I literally just got chills.
Yeah, and like, it's just like,
it's so beautiful,
man,
dude.
hits.
Honestly, and it's so poetic, and just that is a pivotal moment. I feel like not only.
I mean, I'm literally almost crying, like, and I'm not even looking.
So
like,
emotional, and you really, because like going back to like the craft of comics, and I feel like we always kind of touch back around to that. People. Maybe not to that extent, but people experience those relationships, and people who read comic books experience those relationships, and that's what evokes that emotion, and it's so much more powerful because we see that go on, and we're like, wow, like I have somebody like that, or I have like, you know, some semblance of that is present in my life, and to see this guy who is just at this point off the rails and, you know, driving everybody up a wall and driving them away, and Alfred is still by his side through all of this no matter what, gave his life for Bruce, and that is so compelling, dude. And it's just, Sean Murphy is a phenomenal, his as good as his art is, he is equally as phenomenal with the script.
I have to agree with that. Like, it's just so good. And like that also, it's so interesting because we don't even like Alfred, aside from that, I mean, like his presence is so strong in this book without him really being there, because like we are introduced to him and he's already like very close to death. Like he's dying. He really doesn't have a like a part in this book aside from that, but like that being a thing that Bruce has going on in his life just contributes to him, like the state of mind that he's in 100%. And like how like off the rails he is. And then the fact that Alfred just dies like halfway through this, it's either in issue 3 or 4, so it's literally like halfway through the story. And he just like has to deal with that, and like, oh, it's so good, it's phenomenal. I'm gonna try to find, because there's actually a conversation that Dick and Barbara have after Alfred dies. They're like standing at his like grave.
I remember like I can picture it in my head, but I don't remember anything about that. I shouldn't even say that I remember anything about this book, because I'm just probably gonna talk myself into a corner again.
You're just gonna say, you're gonna mention another, dude, where's this scene? Come on, man, it's gonna take me so long to find this.
I will interject and just say that my dog was barking a while ago, and I was like trying not to laugh or like say anything about it. I was like, I hope he shuts up.
Oh, it's okay. It happens. Dude, am I going to be able to find this?
I have the
It's
utmost
got to be at
faith
the end
in
of
you.
an issue.
You can absolutely find it.
I'm sorry, everyone who's watching me struggle through this right now. Dude, it can't be that far back. What? I don't know, man.
Some show tunes while we wait.
Just sing some show tunes. No, man, I give up.
That's all right. It was a worthy.
I'm sorry.
It was a valiant effort.
It'll probably be in the video thing, maybe, because I can find it afterwards. But yeah, no, Alfred's like impact in it is huge. It's just such a good story.
It's
I don't know.
I really can't give this book enough praise, and I really need to go back and reread it. If by some chance Sean Murphy sees this, I'm just gonna make a complete fucking fool of myself.
We apologize.
I'm so sorry, Sean. Can I call you Sean?
Are we on a first name basis now?
Probably
if you're
not,
watching this?
because I can't remember shit out of your book.
Hey man, you read it in the first place.
That's
That's
right.
good. That
support.
That has something. Why is it so? Oh, okay. I'm still also looking. For
That's
this page.
okay.
I couldn't completely give up. Actually, you know what? While I do that, those are, I think, pretty much all my like main points.
Okay.
World building's phenomenal. Art is incredible. Narrative's top notch. Character work is fantastic. Oh, okay. Actually, I'll be able to find this one because it's like the last page of the book. So I know where this is, but it's that moment that I was talking about where we talked about like Bruce being like I need to know that this was the right thing, and how he's kind of broken and like questioning that, and putting that all into perspective. He has a scene where like, because Gordon has obviously been very not happy with him throughout this book, so there's been that like tension, and he's like before the like final battle thing, which features a ton of Batmobiles, by the way, which is just awesome.
I remember
like
that. That was so incredible.
We see like all of them, like and so like before that happens, he's like, after this, like the only way that Gotham and you will like trust me again is if you like know who I am. I have to do that. And so he's like in Gordon's office, and he's like going to talk to him, and Gordon's like, no, like we can like do it, like it'll be fine, like we'll work through this, like don't worry about it, basically, like this has all been like worth it, like we've just gone through a lot, and like this is just how it is because of the way this city and like our lives are, pretty much. And like Batman says, like one of the lines he says, I enjoy hurting criminals, Jim. I don't use a gun and I don't take lives, but that doesn't always make me the good guy. Sometimes it's vindication to be as brutal as I want, and that made criminals like the Joker even worse. Sometimes I'm not sure why I wear the mask. Is it to scare them, or is it because I scare myself? And like, dude,
so
that's
powerful, because it's true.
Yeah, it's
and
so
like
good.
Just to hear him say that out loud, because something that I talk about at my 9-to-5 job is like how, not that like it's like pertains to my job, but it just like seems to always come up in conversation about how mental illness is always looked at as like this problem, and a lot of the reason that it's a problem is because people can't own up to it themselves, and they can't admit that to themselves. And so to see Batman kind of have to grapple with that himself is insane, because there's so much trauma underlying everything that he does, and to hear him admit that is very, very powerful.
I mean, just to him just be admitting it and like fully confronting it about himself, like, is just, it's so good.
100%.
And like it's such an acknowledgement of like that is how it is.
Yeah,
like,
no, absolutely.
For Batman. And like that's actually that's the one panel I was talking about earlier, where like he doesn't look like angry, like he's still like scowling kind of because of the cowl, but like you can tell that he's just like broken, like saying this.
And
like
it breaks it. It just takes him down a peg. You know, he is just a man, but everybody sees him as more than that, and this really humanizes him. Yeah.
And then I mean he just follows it up by like straight up taking off his cowl and showing Jim Gordon who he is, which is, I just hit my desk really hard. Sorry for the webcam shaking, anyone who's watching. But yeah, and then, like, he just straight up, he's like, this is the only way that you'll ever really trust me, and like takes off his cowl, and that's how the book ends.
Man. Yeah,
So,
I really need to go back and sit with this again.
It's insane to think about the fact that like Gordon now knows who Batman is by the time the next book starts.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that factors into the next book.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And then I want to know if he's like telling all of Gotham.
Yeah,
like,
that would be...
Because like he says that he wants to.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, I wonder if he showed, like, if, you know, we'll get a scene where he's talking to Jim and he's like still trying to, like, he's like, no, this is what I need to do, and Jim, like, maybe he's like, that's not what the city needs. Like, you know, thank you for doing this for me, but I don't think that Gotham could handle this.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's just like speculation. I don't know. I'll be very interested, regardless, to see how that plays into the story.
We'll definitely have to talk about Curse of the White Knight after.
Oh,
that
definitely.
Gets a decent amount of issues in. But yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts on White Knight. My long-winded. I could talk about this book for so much longer.
No, honestly, we could go the whole episode. Like, it's such a good book. Honestly, we could do a whole episode if I was a little bit more up to date.
More versed. No, yeah, it's okay. We'll do a whole episode on Curse of the White Knight. We can do that
that'll
instead.
be cool.
But yeah, those are my thoughts on White Knight, and Evan's thoughts from what he remembers.
From what I remember, from what I botched together.
Hey, it's okay. Hey, you remembered one of the most important scenes of the book. You just
True. I just didn't remember it was in this book.
From the book. That's okay. But so what book did you want to talk about this week?
So I wanted
what
to.
Have you been reading?
I have started reading the new Martian Manhunter maxi series. I'm trying to get the full names of the creative team because they always need to be shouted out. So we got Steve Orlando writing, Riley Rossmo drawing, with Juan Placencia on colors, and Darren Bennett on letters. So shout out to this team because this is such a grounded book, but it's so visually spectacular that it just, like, the balance there, they kind of like even each other out, and it's awesome. So it kind of, spoilers for this also up top. We should probably get into the habit of doing that.
Yeah, we'll get it. I mean, we did it this episode before we got really into anything.
Stick around. We'll see how next episode goes. So it kind of it opens up as a procedural. John Jones is with his partner. I'm blanking on her name, but they're responding to a call. There's like a homicide in a house, and we don't know what has happened. We know that the two parents are dead. They have a daughter who is missing. And Jean gets like this weird vision. We don't get to see it, but he's like, this can't be happening, not on Earth. And this is like intercut with flashbacks from his homeworld and his Mars, and with his family. And the world building that they do on Mars and for this civilization of Martians is so fascinating to me because, as far as I know, like, and I'm not like huge. Thus far, I haven't been huge into Martian Manhunter as a character. What kind of got me into him in the first place was jumping on the current run of Justice League by Scott Snyder, bringing him back into.
Which is
fantastic.
fantastic.
I'm not up to date on that, but what I've read of it is just impeccable.
Yeah.
But I like seeing him given a little bit more limelight, and after seeing the first couple of covers previewed for this series that was coming out, I was like, I definitely need to be on board for that. The stuff on Mars is so awesome, and the way that it's drawn and colored is just also chef's kiss. I'm a sucker for vibrant, loud color palettes, which this is through and through. And as far as like the interactions and stuff on his homeworld, he has a child and a wife, and everybody for the most part, everybody on Mars communicates telepathically, which is very interesting. And just to, like, I don't know, see how that goes. He's also kind of like a cop on. He is like the chief manhunter on Mars, which is pretty cool. So you just see him, and they kind of hint at. I'm only 2 issues in because the way that the dialogue works is like they just throw you into all of this like Martian jargon, so you kind of get wrapped up into it. It seems like it's very confusing on purpose because as I got through the second issue, it was a little bit easier and I was a little bit more adjusted. But just like the goings on Mars, like, you know, he's a cop. There are hints that like he might be like kind of a crooked cop, because one of the first lines of the book is, where is it? I gotta find it now. Now I can be the one who's ferociously looking for something. No, he says, I have a confession to make, Diane. The Martian Manhunter is not a hero. Not yet. So I think that I don't know who Diane is yet, but I'm anxious to find out because that conversation seems like it's going to be the crux of this storytelling. Because you know, you get the hints that he's like a crooked cop, and we don't know why he's come to Earth yet, because there are things happening with the children on Mars where they go through. So like they're shapeshifters, obviously. For those who don't know anything about Martian Manhunter, I'm not going to like talk at length about it because I'm not super well versed in his mythos. But these Martians are shapeshifters. He takes on the appearance of a human when he's on Earth. But something interesting that this book does is that when Martians are children, they kind of just look like these green, gold, or white-skinned like blobs. And there's this cycle that goes on where they go through this breach, and it's very interesting because there's a line that says like they wear their organs on their outsides, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Whoa.
But they mean it like the way that I read it now after reading this a little bit is that like who they truly are on the inside that makes them an individual is like once they go through this breach, it's like a whole ceremony, and once they go through the breach, like they take the shape of whatever that is within them, like whatever distinguishes them as an individual is like how they see themselves is what they become, which is very interesting. And
that's really
dude,
cool.
It's like so interesting to see this built up and see where he comes from and why he is the way that he is. I don't know. I was kind of the confusion that the first issue raised for me was kind of off-putting at first, and then I'm glad I kind of powered through it and reread the stuff that I needed to, because it's just it's a testament to this style of writing, first of all, because they just like take a chance with things like this, and they just kind of throw you into it and hope that it's enough to like keep you captivated, which this has done for me. And I'm not sure that it'll be for everybody. Some people don't take the time to kind of go back through and comb over things like that, which I totally understand. But this book is definitely like if you can get through the first issue and kind of settle with it and take that for what it is, I think that it's well worth the read. I think that either 6 or 7 issues are out so far, but it does a great job at setting up who Jean is and where he's come from, and where that brings him to on Earth right now. So the main plot line of this homicide that they're following so far seems like it's going to culminate in whatever the destruction was on his homeworld, because obviously we know that something happened where most of his species was wiped out. And it's interesting to see, like, you know, there's somebody who talks to him on Mars that says, like, in one, I think they're called megacycles, which is might be like one, like their equivalent of like a calendar year for us. In that that amount of time, they say that every Martian will be touched by fire, and they go into how like fire affects them, and it actually ties into their telepathy abilities.
That's really
so
cool.
they say, like, because, spoilers again, in the second issue, his Earth partner finds out that he's a Martian, and she's just like, what the fuck are you? And because they get into a car accident, and he was driving, but, like, I don't know if he lost consciousness, but, like, he reverted back into his Martian state, and his his partner wakes up, and she's just, like, thrown for a loop, and when
naturally.
Oh, of course. Like, what the hell would you do if you were in the passenger seat of a car and a person who just turned into a fucking Martian?
After a car crash, you just like wake up and you just like look to the left and you're like, what the fuck? Like,
not even that, but like he's like, so the car's on fire and he's like essentially melting. Like, so you're in the car next to a melting Martian, dude. Just imagine that. I'm gonna try to see if I don't know if this book came with a digital code, but I'm gonna see if I can get it to Sean so that he can put it up in the video, because I want everybody to see what this is, because it's crazy. And what I appreciate about Rossmo's art style is that it feels very campy, but it really intensifies moments like that are very grotesque, and I'm here for it, man. It's so interesting. So
Rossmo has a really, really cool art style. Like
it really fits this book. It's so captivating.
Like I've seen his work. He did the art for the Batman in the Shadow like crossover that Scott Snyder wrote.
Oh, I didn't read that, but I heard a bunch of hype about that.
It was really good. It was interesting. He did the art for that, and then also Deathbed with Joshua Williamson writing.
Oh wow, that must have been an interesting pairing.
That book is wild.
Really?
It's insane. I read the first like 5 or so issues. It was really good. I had to drop it just because of money at the time with my pull list.
Makes sense. We've all been there.
Yeah, which sucks because it's an insane book, honestly. Like there's a lot of murder and nudity and just like absolute insanity like going on there. It's crazy. But yeah, his art style is it's just so unique and very like, I mean, it's vibrant. Yeah. I would assume that he works with the same colorist every time. Most artists do.
I mean, they're a great pair. Like they go hand in hand.
Yeah, and like you were saying at the beginning, like vibrant color palettes, like sign me up,
please.
Dude.
Like I want explosions of color in my face as much as possible.
Yeah, burn it into my retina.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I remember the first cover whenever that came out. I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah, because he almost looks like obviously he's wearing the badge, but he almost looks like a thug, which is so like a bug-eyed thug, the bug thug, if you will.
Yeah. The bug thug, trademark that right now.
Excuse me, no. But it's very interesting. Like the character development that they give to him. So like a very distinct feature of him physically is like he's got that big, like very thick brow, and they go into that because there's like a museum dedicated to Earthlings, and they have like a very convoluted name for Earthlings, but I'm just gonna call them Earthlings because I'm not gonna try to pronounce it. But they have a museum, and he's taking his kid through the museum, and the kid's like, this is kind of where the explanation of like the whole fire thing comes into play, because the kid, it's like a museum of like the Stone Age pretty much, and the kid like sees these Neanderthal-looking human beings, and they're like surrounded by, or they're surrounding campfires, and he's like, oh, they're so close to the fire, and that's when Jean explains like, oh yeah, because of our telepathy capabilities, like they don't like that's where that line is drawn for us. Like it doesn't affect them the same way that it affects us. They don't share that fear of fire. I hope that gets explored more, because
that's so cool. That's such a cool
concept.
It's
really interesting, and I want that to be explored, because it's I feel like there's so much more. Like they just like throw that little tease at you, and it seems like there's more underneath the surface there, and I feel like we'll get it. But so as they're going through, he's like, yeah, when I went through the ceremony that you were going to go through in a year or whatever, that is what I based my my true self off of. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but he gave himself that furrowed brow because not the furrowed brow, like that very thick brow, because that's like kind of what Neanderthals look like. And there's such an interesting bit of imagery where he's like it's the profile of him facing the statue, and they look so similar, and that's just so interesting, because like that to see like there's a humanistic influence on the Martians. He said that they used to the Martians up until that point would walk on like 6 or 7 legs, and once they had information on the humans, like, they became bipedal just because, like, they were infatuated with how humans carried themselves. And I don't know. There's so much building for this character in this book, as well as, like, this just being an interesting, like, procedural.
Yeah.
So I like the duality of, like, what's being told, like, where he comes from and how it, like, obviously they don't get too much into it with where I'm at, but seeing how that plays into down the line of, like, what happened on his home world and how it affects, like, this particular case, because obviously, like, they're interweaving these flashbacks because it has something to do with the present theme of, like, whatever's going on.
Of course.
But
which is that's a storytelling device. I don't know.
Yeah,
Tell the word for a second. That I will always love
when it's done right, because it can get very annoying and very quickly, I feel. But more often than not, I find myself reading books where it's not problematic for me because there's so much that each side is offering. Kind of like how we were talking about last week with Invisible Kingdom and how Vess's story was being interwoven between Grix's story. And how they obviously, like, culminate and come together at a point, but it's
and they just complement each other.
And just like the interweaving of the storytelling, like narration going from, like, carrying over from one side of the story, like, into the next, and how there's so much you can play off there, like how they just, like, segue into each other. Aesthetically, it can be very cool. It's an awesome device, and I appreciate everyone who can find that balance to tell stories in that way.
Yeah, you can, like, do visual and, like, I say it like audible, but I mean it's text, obviously. Like,
yeah, right. But
but yeah, like the way that they're able to do that in different things is so interesting. Man, I'm gonna have to pick up the trade for this book if it's out, because, like, hey, that makes two of us. But no, because, like, the amount of lore and world building that you've just laid out that they're injecting into, like, his mythos. Like, I love whenever a team or a person or whoever is able to come in and, like, add lore to an existing character and, like, kind of not redefine, but just, like, reshape what you, like, already know about
and have
them.
It fit in with what you know. And, like, a while back when I was more up to date with my books, we would talk about this with Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman's Venom a bit, because they, like, retroactively add stuff to that mythos, but it's so compelling, and the scope becomes so much larger, and it's just there's something to be said for that, dude, honestly. It's
just so impressive whenever they can fit it in there, like, perfectly.
And not have it, like, be when you can shoehorned, you know, just for the sake of, like, that story.
Like, where, like, you're like, oh man, this feels natural, and, like, it does fit. Like, Snyder's honestly done it with Martian Manhunter and Justice League as well.
Yeah.
And then, like, he did it with the Court of Owls. I think that's why I think that's one of the reasons Court of Owls is so strong, has, like, a Batman story. But just, like, examples like that, just being able to put that lore into, like, an existing mythos and have it fit, like, organically, like, I love that. Dude.
And
then also, like, that just, I was gonna say, it just sounds like such a great, like, sci-fi, like, read. It really is, like, for, like, that narrative.
I love like, so not only, like, the two different stories that are being told, but how vastly different they are, because it is, like, on one hand a very spectacular sci-fi book, and on the other hand it's, like, just this grounded procedural, which, like, I feel like you couldn't get much different than that. I mean, I guess, you know, Green Lantern to some extent has elements of both of those things, depending on, like, what you're reading, but just to see, like, you know,
his is more normally, like, in the fantasy lane, though. He's just a space cop.
So to see these to see the
that's so funny. My friend and I were literally talking about Boy Scouts earlier today.
To see, like, the distinction between those two drawn out in even more of a dramatic way, it just aids the storytelling. And I'm sorry, for anybody listening and who might be interested in this, because I'm not doing a great job of articulating what this story is so far. It has taken me some time to, like, sit with this. It is fresh in my mind, but I'm still, like, trying to unravel it as I'm talking about this. But it's just it's very captivating. And the second issue, like, big spoiler for the second issue. So he regains his human form after his partner drags him out of the car, and he's trying to like he wants to wipe her memory just because I think that he's doing it because he sees her as being in danger if she knows who he is, and she has a gun pointed at him, and he's like going at her with his hand like to her head, and he's like, I'm so sorry. And you flip to the last page, and it's a splash page, except for like a long landscape panel at the bottom. The splash page is her literally shooting through his chest, and then the panel at the bottom, it says slorp, and it's his heart on the ground. Oh, yeah. So, but it says like next the death and birth of John Jones. So I don't know like what is coming, but that was such an intense cliffhanger to leave off on, and I felt like coming into this episode, I thought that might be like a natural just point for me to stop talking about the book because I don't know what's coming yet, and I'm also still, like I said, trying to digest what has happened in the first 2 issues. I'll revisit it in later episodes once I have a better grasp on it, but like I don't know, the first 2 issues are just like really throw you into it, but also set up what I can only imagine is going to be such an epic tale. And I don't know. I also appreciate that it's not an ongoing. Like I'm a sucker for 12-issue maxi series because, you know, even if at the end I'm left wanting more, I have gotten like a concise story that has been just captivating, but hasn't been drawn out to the point where like they're just trying to make sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a really good like balance to have, where it's just there's a story that they have in mind that they're telling, and like they're able to execute it well.
And I'm so ready to see where this goes because you know, something that this last page kind of like brings up is like, what is their relationship going to be like after this? Because obviously, like, you know, they wouldn't establish, at least I don't think they would establish his partner as heavily if she wasn't going to play a role down the line, like going forward. So just kind of seeing like how that ends up happening, like why he wanted to wipe her memory, what he's trying to protect her from, what this crazy threat ends up being, you know, that culminates out of just like them investigating this homicide. There are so many things at play here, and I'm like obviously seeing how his past factors into all of this as well. There's just so much to be excited about.
There's so many layers.
Yeah,
there.
dude, and like, unraveling them, like this is really the first time that I've kind of like just gotten my thoughts out about it. So just like being able to talk it out is kind of making me even more excited about it.
Dude, no, that's awesome. That's the sign of like a great
book.
And like, I'm very interested now too, because like not only does it combine a very great sci-fi like space book, which I love sci-fi, but I'm also, you may not even, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but like I'm a huge true crime fan.
I don't think I knew that about you.
I love true crime. Like I listen to true crime podcasts
awesome.
like pretty frequently. And so, like, the fact that the other part of it is, like, a procedural dealing with, like, a homicide investigation, like, I love that, too.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Yeah, so, like, switching back and forth between those, like, I'm on board.
Definitely. It's a good read for sure, and it never feels stagnant, which I love, because that kind of storytelling also, like, when it's done right, like, it just keeps it going, like, bam, 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 like, but never, like, too fast. It feels so natural, and you're not just, like, treading water at any point.
Yeah, which is very good. Pacing is so
definitely,
important,
especially in this
story.
medium, because I feel like, you know, you can sit through a movie or a TV show and be like, yeah, I feel like the pacing was kind of off here or there, but literally, like, if you're in the middle of a comic book and you're just like, this is so slow, I feel like you're more apt to just like put it down. Exactly. You don't want to power through it.
You can just put it down real quick. Like, yeah, it's such an I would say it's a more active medium.
Definitely. Because, and I feel like we were talking about that last week a little bit too, because it's so active and the reader is so engaged, it takes more effort to get through those water treading moments, and it comes to a point where the reader will just be like, this isn't worth my effort right now, so I'm not going to come back to this.
'Cause, like, yeah, if you're like treading water in a movie or like a TV show, you could just like sit there.
Yeah, exactly, and just wait for it to
like
play
happens.
out. You're not really like invested in it because everything is just laid out for you on the screen, whereas this, you really have to connect the dots between the panels like we've talked about, but if there's no real exciting stuff going on, or if it's just like filler content in the issue or in the series or whatever, you're not going to want to connect those dots because there's nothing interesting there for you to connect.
Yeah, it's a very, oh man, comics are hard to
Yeah, dude.
like
Yeah.
pull off well. Like there's so much that goes into it. And like another thing is like if you just turn a page and you just see nothing but just like text, sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I
It's
can do
daunting.
this.
You really do need that balance. And I mean, just because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I haven't gone back to it recently, but I think I was telling you a while back that I picked up that the Epic collection of the first, I think, 17 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, also including like Amazing Fantasy 15 and the first annual. But dude, like I'm a huge Spider-Man fan and I love campy shit out of the 60s, but there is so much fucking text and like
oh, dude, older comics are
so hard to
that.
get through because not
like,
only is it so text heavy, but it's
so dated.
so like expositional, and there's literally like you're not connecting dots because whatever is happening in the panels is being spoken to.
It's also being told. Yeah, it's also they're like, dude, A Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is a phenomenal story.
I haven't read that.
It's
but
insane.
I need to.
Oh, dude, put aside like 5 months because I love that book. It's a fantastic book. I'll sing its praises, but like it is dense. Like it's 12 issues. They're like 30-ish pages each, I think. But like it took me a while to get through that book because like there's just so much text and exposition and what you were just saying, like say like Dr. Light is going to like fly around this building, like narration box. Dr. Light flies around the corner of this building. As you're watching them fly around the corner of the building, it's just like, man,
you're like, no shit. Like, get to the good stuff.
Dude. It's a lot. And like I love old comics. There's like I love them a lot more now than I used to, and I appreciate them a lot, obviously.
For sure.
But yeah, dude, there's a lot of text in them, and like some of the dialogue too. You're just like, man, this is definitely from like whatever time period it was, you know? Like
they're so dated, but like I love. Dude, I would be lying if I sat here and told you that I didn't love campy shit. Like I'm here for it 100% of the time, and that's kind of why I feel like I force myself to power through that stuff. Like I still have to get through that collection. Ultimately, I would like to read all of that Silver Age Spider-Man stuff, like up through the current stuff. I'll be doing that for the rest of my life. But I also have like last Christmas I picked up the Silver Age Hawk and Dove collection, and I have the original 18 issue trade of Jack Kirby's Mr. Miracle, which I have to get through. But just like stuff that I want to get through because it helps me appreciate that stuff more, like where these comics came from, but it also gives me a greater appreciation for where comics are at now.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, it does. And like I have the New Gods and the Mr. Miracle Kirby stuff, which I've read like 10 or so pages of the New Gods one.
Dude, we should read the
like,
Mr. Miracle and do an episode on that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I'm down. That'll definitely be an entire
for
episode.
Sure.
But I'm down for. I'll start reading that maybe this weekend.
Dude, I'll take it on vacation with me, and I'll start reading it, and we could do it. We could do it soon.
Okay, yeah, I'm
awesome.
so down. No, and like, older comics are awesome. I'm literally waiting on Comixology to have another Batman sale because I want to pick up all of the Golden Age omnibuses.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna buy. I don't know the plural of that. But because I made a reading list or a reading guide a long time ago for literally all of Batman's entire history. Check it out at Batman Files.
Oh yeah. Is that the thing that Sean built out for you? Yeah.
Yeah, like I compiled the list and then Sean made a killer graphic for it. Oh yeah, dude, it's everything is there. Everything until like up until 8 months ago in Batman's history,
I love it.
like, is on that list and it's in order. And like there, you can literally read it as like one gigantic story of Batman's life.
That's awesome.
And so I'm literally, as soon as those go on sale, like I'm picking them up. I'm starting at the beginning, and I'm literally gonna make my way through Batman's entire history.
Damn, dude, you know what? All right, if you're gonna be doing that, I will literally do the same for Spider-Man, and we could just like, we.
That's a bet. We'll just make periodic.
Yeah, we
episodes.
Could do periodic. Yeah, like we could even call them like periodic episodes because it's like.
Bro, we'll call them annuals.
Mind blown. That's it. The Comics and Coffee annuals, dude. Done deal.
Oh my God! Yes, it'll be like annual 1 and then whatever.
Hell yeah,
dude. It's game over. It's
all right.
it's
I'm
done.
gonna have to pick up more of those epic collections then and get fucking reading.
Yeah, you gotta wait for me to. The Comixology needs to go on sale.
Comixology, I know you're
It's,
all watching this or listening to this. Get on those sales, all right?
It's been, I swear this is the longest that it's been, like, between sales of Batman stuff,
really?
like, ever. Like, the one time that I'm, like, desperately waiting for, like, a Batman sale, because, like, most of the time I'm like, oh, another Batman sale. Like, I have most of, like, I have a lot of these that I, like, want right now. But, like, now that I'm like, oh, I need a sale, I need to, like, grab this, they're like, oh, we'll schedule one for 8 months from now. Like,
Great, thanks.
Like, all right. Yeah, dude, it's awful. No, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, bringing it back, that's pretty much all I had for Martian Manhunter. Sidebar, I'm very excited for the coming episodes of this show.
Yeah, same. I actually, okay, since you were nearing the end of the Martian Manhunter thing, I thought of one more thing for White Knight that I wanted to mention. So, the Jason Todd element in this book. I don't know if you remember
dude, you're going to have to just assume I know nothing.
You haven't read the book, okay.
What?
No, so in this book, Jason Todd is, like, mentioned, and we have a scene with him also, and it's Joker beating him with the crowbar.
Oh, yeah.
But so Murphy does two things with Jason Todd and his place in the Batman mythos in this that I think is really, really interesting. One, because I found the scene of Barbara and Dick, like, at the grave talking, and this is where, like, where it comes up. Like, Dick mentions that he always loved Jason more because Jason was first. Jason was the first Robin in this universe.
I forgot about that.
And he says that yeah, dude, it's crazy. And he says that, like, he was like a son to him. And, like, whenever Jason, he says died, because they assume that he's dead. Yeah, like, and he's, like, talking about that, because he says Jason was Robin before I was, supposedly killed by the Joker, but they never found the body. And then, like, Babs asks, like, who's buried there, like, at his grave, and he says no one. And she's like, why didn't Bruce ever tell me about this? And he's like, Jason was like a son to him, closer than I ever was. And then a very emotional thing for Dick. Babs is like, you don't know that Bruce loves you too, like, or like a son too. And then Dick is like, then why was it Alfred who always stopped me from running away?
Oh, like, I do remember that. That was so heavy.
Yeah, and like that. And he's literally drinking too. In the panel, and you're like, oh, Dick, come on,
like, fuck, man, like that, like everything there, just visually and. I wanted to say audibly too, but it is just text. It is still, just like everything there, like just he just is so hurt by Bruce, and you really feel like
it. And like that, but then the other thing that they do with Jason Todd, so assumed dead, we see near the end of the series, whenever Batman and Joker are talking in the car, Jack Napier at this point. He is remembering, like, what happened with Jason, because, like, Bruce is like, you're gonna tell, like, it's like an exchange for Harley's freedom. Like, he wants Jack to tell him what happened with Jason, and, like, Jack can't remember at first, and then he remembers, and, like, he's beating the hell out of him with the crowbar, and, like, Jason refuses to, like, because, like, he wants to know Batman's identity. That's what Joker's trying to find out, and, like, Jason just, like, won't break, and Joker's literally, like, about to kill him, and, like, he, like, gives him, like, one more chance, and, like, asks him if there's any, like, if he has last words, and there's just a panel, like, at the bottom, and it's Jason just bloody with, like, tears running down his face, and it's, like, small text, so it's like a whisper, you know, and he just goes, I wish I never met Bruce Wayne.
Oh,
and, like,
shit.
Dude, no, it hurts so much.
Heavy. That is heavy as fuck, dude.
It's such a, like, just powerful panel and, like, moment, and, like, and then Jack says that Joker lets him go away. Like, he just lets him leave. And, like, Bruce, like, turns and, like, looks at him as, like, astonished, and he's like, Jason's alive? Like, and Joker's like, and Jack is like, yeah, and he's like, well, then why didn't he ever, like, come back to me? And, like, that just, like, hits even more, because you're like, damn, like, he, like, lived, but he was like, no, I'm not going back to that. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
like I can't do that, and you're like,
Oh, that
dude,
hurts,
that.
man.
And then like Jack says Joker did it because he knows that the idea of like him never finding a body and then maybe eventually learning that like Jason chose to not come back would like hurt him more than like killing him ever could. And like, oh dude, it's
goes back to those
but
plans.
So those are just
dude.
like
it all goes back to how calculating he is.
Yes, dude. Like he was like, oh, this will fuck him
Yeah.
up. Like, and it does. Like, oh man. But yeah, so that's a like I love
Yeah,
that.
I'm glad you
twist
brought
on,
it back
like,
to that because that's a very pivotal moment of that book. Thank you for reminding me of yet another reason to read it.
No, yeah. So that's crazy. That's just another one of those like lore, like world building like elements that's just
gotta love it. Gotta
so
love
nice.
It. Very thorough.
Oh yeah. I mean that's actually my final like
That's
thoughts
the last one.
for on White Knight. So yeah, I guess that concludes this episode.
I guess that brings it to a close this week.
All right, so do you want to plug your social
media?
media?
If you guys are at all interested, you can find me on Twitter at webheadev and on Instagram at Evan McGuire Art. I almost got those backwards for a second, but they'll be in the description anyway. So if you guys care,
they should be on this.
Oh, they're on the screen.
Yeah,
they're in this sick ass template that Sean built
if
us.
you're watching
on YouTube,
right.
Which Sorry for anybody listening. You're not seeing a sick ass template, but our handles are all in the description. So
yeah, I love this template so much. It's so awesome.
Top tier.
But yeah, so you can find me. Also, Evan posts amazing art, so you should definitely check out his socials.
I appreciate that. If you guys are into independent artists, I do fan art. Working on some original stuff. I do have my book out. Currently pretty low on my first print run. So I mean, if anybody's interested, I might be doing a second print run. So we'll see.
That'd be so cool, man.
Maybe do like a variant, like a second printing cover or something. You know, we'll see.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that'd be so cool. Stay tuned. Buy Evan's book, and you can maybe see a variant cover for the second printing. There we go. So, yeah, you can find me on social media, on Twitter at APBatman. Talk about comics and movies and video games and stuff on there. And then you can also find me still on Twitter, but at Batman Files. I have a Batman fan account.
Literally follow that account if you want to know anything about Batman. This man posts like the most intensive threads, images, following up on news. He's really good at just like interacting with other Batman fans. I don't know, man. That's just like really cool for me to see because it's just like a hub for fans to. Like, social media is just, like, a hub for fans to, like, talk about this stuff in general. But seeing, like, something so specific and so many people responding to the stuff that you do, I really have to commend that because that's so fucking cool, dude.
Oh, man, thank you so much. I'm literally smiling so hard right now.
Definitely,
man. It means a lot. I try to make that account basically what you were, like,
yeah,
saying.
Dude. Everybody, do yourself a favor and check it out because it's really rad.
I appreciate it. And then... you can, of course, find us at the Media Byte HQ
That's
on
the
Twitter.
HQ?
I believe that's our at. Yeah, that should be our at on Twitter. So be sure to check us out there. If you haven't, you can find all of our articles from the site, keep up to date on news and pop culture. You can also check out the other two podcasts on the Media Byte Podcast Network there.
Very good insightful information coming out of those as well.
Yeah, they do a good job with Republic Outpost Radio and then the ABNC show,
I think that's what it is.
Name?
I always get it fucked up, but
yeah, I always mix up their. It's okay. Josh mixes up the letters on there too, and he's literally on the podcast. So, but yeah, check out those two podcasts also if you haven't. And yeah, be sure to leave a like, rate, and review on whatever you're using to listen or watch this on. We really appreciate it. It means a lot and helps us out. Yeah, I guess that just about wraps it for the third episode.
Second video episode. Stay tuned for next.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, stay tuned for whatever we're doing next week. I don't know what it is yet, but it'll be fun.
We'll see.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
for listening and watching.